Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't hear the meeting, Vince.
Yeah, I can't either. We'll have our own meeting. It's good because you won't catch my cold.
Oh, no.
I worked with all the kids at Kellogg on Friday, and on Saturday night I came down with this whole. They must not have it hooked up. Right?
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, yeah.
There we go. All right,
Okay.
so now we're official. Sorry, guys.
All right, next item would be approval of the minutes, regular meeting, October 23rd, 2025, motion to approve. So move. Doug, is there a second?
I'll second.
Eileen, any discussion on those minutes? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Special meeting minutes, housing informational, November 5th, 2025. Motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Matt, is there a second?
Second.
Doug,
Doug?
any discussion?
Just thank you, Pat, because to have that on the website now with the answers and the questions, it's fantastic to have it now for other people to check out. And people have watched the actual meeting, so I'm glad that we have that material out there for the community. Thank you.
Anything else? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Public comments? Any public comments?
Yeah, I do, I'm Colton Rule, Falls Road resident. I'd have to say that, the information meeting was helpful, but, left many questions unanswered. I found the performance of the Falls Road Housing Trust, worrisome in light of the fact that the chairman of the Housing Trust, whenever asked a question, would defer to her consultant constantly and to her board and was unable to answer a lot of the questions. I went to the website of the Housing Trust today. They are a 401c3, which has to be upgraded or re-established every 2 or 3 years. I did not see any evidence of that. I believe the Falls Village Housing Trust has not got what it takes to begin to get this development built. That remains to be seen. I do not have confidence in them that once they clear cut, that they will be able to get this thing built. I don't think they have the personnel. I don't believe they have the town support, which you guys charged them, I believe in the last August meeting, to get more support and get the town involved. I found the informational meeting evidence of the fact that the town practically didn't show up. There were not many questions, etc. I have a couple questions. These are questions that you raised and not yet answered, to my knowledge. It would be very irregular, if not illegal, for the P&Z to approve site plan application for an entity that does not own the lot for which it is applying. I think we've been over that, and you guys have discussed that, but I find it very irregular. It's worrisome. How can a site plan be approved for a lot that has yet to be surveyed and lot lines yet to be established and registered? Do they have lot lines for their site plan? Are all those established? Do we have surveys by them submitted to us? Are all those lot lines established? Can you answer that question? The Housing Trust has yet to evidence approval licensing for the wells they plan to establish, to my knowledge. Jandy Henner was questioned about that and did not give a very confident answer. I find more evidence of the ineptitude of the Housing Trust. There are 14 units approved, yet Falls Ridge Housing Trust states they will build 16. Do they need to reapply for this change? Habitat for Humanity states they plan to build 10 duplexes on 2 acres. Is the IHC allowed to contain 26 units? And a lot of these questions you don't have to answer. I'm just asking them to have them on the record. I again insist Housing Trust has all monies in place before they clear cut the 10-acre lot. There is no traffic study by a licensed engineer. They never delivered one. There will be accidents from cars and trucks coming down the hill at speed. Also, stormwater from River Road and cross railroad tracks and my property. This warrants, for me, further investigation for someone to tackle what is going to happen to the water once it comes across the road. I thank you for your service. I thank you for your attention. Perhaps you may address some of these questions, perhaps not, but those are my comments, and thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Coulter. Anything? New business, lot line modification through A. Under Mountain Barnes Road.
Thanks.
Flatten and Sinclair Properties.
So. Just in short, before I turn the floor over to Attorney Vale, the map is right here before everyone. You should have also received a digital copy. I see many of you have it. Just pretty standard. We're doing a lot line modification, boundary line adjustment, and the application, it's on a new form. It's coming before us this evening. So you'll see there's a parcel to be conveyed to an abutter, and then there's a first cut parcel that's depicted on the lot. All land comes out of the larger lot that's owned by Carol Platten. And if you want to add anything.
Sure. First cut actually happened in 2024, and it was before this Ford, which was approved and transferred already, but the purveyor passed away and had a heart attack before we could get another revision of the map, so we are with this one. Another small change, the landowner of record as of last week is just Carol Clayton. Her spouse has transferred her interest to Dell. So the boundary line adjustment is to the abutting neighbor, the Sinclair, and the intent for both the remaining land of Carol and the 6-acre parcel that's being transferred to Mr. Sinclair is going to be under a conservation easement that we hope is going to be approved by the NCLC, which is the old land trust. Same people. By the end of the year, we're hoping therefore is November 28th. It is going to be designated for farm use. There will be a building envelope on Carol's land for farm structures only. That building envelope is actually between the proposed building line envelope and forget the record owner is of this parcel.
The Kennedy.
So that would be a building envelope for a barn or some sort similar structure. There will be no residential structures on this property whatsoever. That is made explicitly clear many times over in the conservation easement.
And not so much germane to this commission for this evening, I have received some anecdotal questions surrounding wetlands. My understanding is in the event that there are agricultural buildings that are proposed, that they would go through that process if needed.
Correct.
Great.
And there are also, this was pasture land. I believe the intent is the Sinclair family, I believe, is going to farm it, and they would like to reclaim back some pasture land. Again, that's a wetlands application that would have to go back to the inland wetlands.
Okay. Okay.
Any questions? Anything further we need? What do you need from us?
So pursuant to a memo that was developed, I think, in 2016, you are required as a commission to review all lot line modifications. So that's the reason why this is coming before you. It's nothing particular like a special exception or a special permit. It's just per protocol. That's why it is on the agenda this evening. But I have no further questions.
Beautiful piece of property. Nice
Yeah.
to see that it's.
Yeah, nice to
Mm.
see the ag conservation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that it wants to be used,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And worked, which is so important.
yeah.
It's fantastic.
I did bring the Mylar. I read that you like to sign the Mylars, that it's been reviewed.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
will leave this.
Amazing.
with you.
Great. Do you have a sense of when you want to file it on the land records? Because we can get that signed and leave it for the clerk.
These, so, well, once it's approved, I have the actual, deed, that's
Bless you.
going through you, with it. We hope to get that signed by the end of this month.
Beautiful.
Transfer.
Easy.
If the commission approves it.
Great.
Okay, should I leave this with you, Kim?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, then that's the thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we deal with that now?
Yeah, that
So-
would be great.
So make a motion, so I make a motion to approve the lot line modification on Under Mountain Road and Barnes Road. Between the Flatiron and Sinclair properties,
Is there,
or do I need to be more
is there
specific?
lot numbers or something in there that we could?
I would just reference for the record, the map. So you could just say,
Oh, yeah, so
Yeah.
we have map 8 lot 55.1 is the Under Mountain Road lot.
That's on the application.
yeah,
That's
That's
accurate.
yeah, and then that even
It's, map 8 lot 55-1.
55-1, okay. And even further, if you're being so thorough, which you are, just reference the site plan entitled property survey showing first cut. Proposed lot line revisions prepared for Carol Flat and dated April 27th, 2024. Yeah,
You did that. Okay.
We just need a thumbprint and Emily's bank account.
yeah.
I'll
So
second.
great.
Matt, second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Great.
Great, thank
Thanks.
you. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much. Bye, Emily.
Great.
New business item B, review of regulations, IAC administering agency and number of units. So, I guess in review, yes, Coulter says a lot of things, which I know some yet may remain in question, others definitely not under our purview, actually, maybe most. But so Jocelyn Air as representative for also its housing trust. Had some. Opinions maybe,
Strong assertions.
assertions about the administrating agency and. The way that I have read them in the past, I think. I read them differently, and that's why I think strongly I have no interest in the planning and zoning fulfilling that role. I think it's an easy argument to explain why we maybe are not the best agency to do that. So I think that didn't help clarify. I think it maybe muddied the water a little bit, at least for myself, but that's why we wanted to get it onto the agenda and speak about it as a full commission. So not that it's end all be all. I think, like I said, I believe it's easy enough to step out as a planning and zoning if that's what we choose as a full commission to do. But in my opinion, I think we could easily explain ourselves out. I think the protocol that they need to move forward with a different agency is pretty clear in our regulations. which needs to be approved by the Board of Selectmen. So it really kind of leaves us at that point. Falls onto the housing trust to bring a person, a qualified agency to do that work. But the town's skin in the game is the Board of Selectmen approving that agency. And I think that Janelle might have something.
Yeah, just to add, Chairman, my thought might be, as a commission, if you feel strongly about not taking on that role as an administering agency, to at least put a memorandum on the record to the Board of Selectmen stating, because it ultimately would fall on them, the way that the regulations read, just simply stating that although very capable in so many arenas, that this is not the best fit for the P and Z, the role for them to undertake. I can read verbatim from the regulations if you want to learn more, but the responsibility given to you as a P and Z does not seem like the best fit. And I think it might be a proactive step of this P and Z so that you don't get yourself in a position where you're thrust into a role that you don't particularly want to take on for many different reasons, to just put it on the record as a referral to the Board of Selectmen saying you do not feel that the administering agency of an IHC property is going to be the role that you'll take on. It might be the easiest way to sort of clean up that record. An amendment to the regulations could certainly open up an amendment to the overall IHZ, which I'm not positive, and we could talk about it at this juncture if that's exactly what it is that this commission wants to take on.
Isn't it a requirement of the IHZ? If, I mean, my understanding of the language as I read it is, if we do not want to do it, it is a still requirement of that entity in the IHZ to provide. So for us already saying that we don't want to be the administrative agency, isn't that enough, or do we have to?
So it's tricky because the regs read, and I'm on page 42, the P and Z shall be designated as the administering agency for any unit subject to an incentive housing restriction. In a case where, and that's interesting because 100% of the units are subject to incentive housing restriction in the IHC. Anyway, in a case where the administering agency cannot adequately carry out its administrative duties upon certification of this fact by the Board of Selectmen, such duties shall devolve to and thereafter be administered to a qualified housing entity designated by the Board of Selectmen. In any event, such administering agency shall ensure the following: both prior to the issuance of a building permit for an incentive housing development within the IHZ and thereafter as the case may be. So aside from the fact that this regulation is quite flawed because it hinges upon a building permit, which we are not at all in the business of administering and or providing, it further involves the Board of Selectmen in this wonky way. So thereafter, so the prices of incentive housing ownership are properly computed. I don't know where and why we would get that wherewithal. Rental amounts of incentive rental units are properly computed. Not sure where and why we would have that expertise. Income eligibility of households applying for incentive housing is properly and reliably determined. This is way beyond my pay grade. The housing market and the housing marketing and resident selection plan conform to all requirements and are properly administered. Residential selection plan will include a preference for persons currently living, working, or volunteering in the town as allowable by applicable law, which, as we all know, is not allowable by applicable law. So that's a flaw in our regulations. And I am ill-equipped to know all the fair housing laws, nor feel confident that I could represent this commission to walk everyone through this. Sales and rentals are made to eligible households chosen in accordance with the housing marketing and resident selection plan, with appropriate unit size for each household being properly determined and proper preference being given. And then finally, incentive housing restrictions meeting the requirements of this section are recorded with the proper registry of deeds. All items A through E are completely beyond me. I not only would be unwilling to take it on, I would not be certified to take that on. Dealing with people's income is not something that I feel a planning professional is suited for, nor do I feel that the planning and zoning commission's legally suited for.
Is that a motion from us? Is that a letter to the selectmen?
think
Is it a letter to
a
the
letter.
Falls Village Housing Trust to say you can't move forward with a site plan until?
I think a letter to this Board of Selectmen bowing out officially
Yeah,
is suffices, takes us out and puts the onus really on the housing trust to come forward.
and I think a copy to the.
Well, yeah, of
Yeah.
course, it's not just a secret, but you know, it's I think our letter should be addressed just to the Board of Selectmen stating
Right.
that, you know, it's, if I hear this, it's a little bit, it is awkward, the wording, how it almost could be interpreted that the Board of Selectmen has to find this agency, but if I recall from when we put the IAC in, that really was not the intent.
It just needs to be explicit.
Do we lose anything by giving away that power, the responsibility?
I don't believe so, because I mean, all those things have to be verified annually
Right?
to keep that housing in place for those that are
Do you
part
think
of
it
it.
would be prudent to ask for a annual report or something so we see that it's happening? Do we need to be even, is that our responsibility?
That's a good question, Tim. I don't know. I mean, if somebody is approving this agency's or
Feels like
receiving this
if you run
agency's
amok and if
work,
we're not
is it the
looking,
house,
Yeah.
the Department of Housing?
right?
I was gonna say, I gotta believe that it's really the state, because they're the one that they've
That's-
written the check, right? So they're gonna wanna make sure that any ongoing operation of the affordable housing lives within their guidelines, right? Because they wrote
A
the
lot of
check.
this feels like it's state,
Yeah,
even in their financing, and you gotta get job
Exactly.
one done before they give you job two, before release any more money. And so I realize you can't answer all those questions because some of them are tied up in that procedure that we don't know enough about. This is not like the 10th one we've done in this town. We're getting used to them.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that if we give something that we can't handle away, that we're not losing the chance to say, you missed something here and we want to call you on it. Or if that's been our responsibility.
I think it'd be short-sighted too to just walk away without some oversight. So the whole thing should come back through, right, at some point as part of our meetings or part of our agenda or whatnot, just as a review at least.
And on an annual basis per unit?
Yeah, something, I mean, you know, not to point fingers at anybody, but this is the kind of stuff that happens elsewhere that turns into, you know, my buddy's the guy and then things get corrupt too.
Right. So, and if they pick somebody and we approve that, a year later, they may say that guy goes out of business. Do you have somebody else that steps in? Or is that a government agency that's checking all those boxes? Or do we then have to prove somebody else?
I mean, I do believe it's a state the whole way, but I am hearing what you're saying. It's nice to have a local check on that, that is actually being given to an agency, but I don't know enough about that area, how the day-to-day looks. I mean, that's something maybe before we act, we just try to.
Feel like
Just say that shall file an annual report to the Planning and Zoning Commission that all regulations within the IHZ are complied with, because at the end of the day, it is in the regulations, like it is language within the regulations with ultimately the Planning and Zoning Commission is responsible for overseeing that local law in the town. So that's
That
to
could be
to
our,
Tim's point and to
One-
Doug's
that,
point,
that could be
that's
our
like
hook to get the information.
closing the loop and making sure you don't say we're no longer involved, because it does come back to the compliance of the overall
How do you
regulations.
require that?
An annual report and then just have
And the
it that
certification.
Being part of,
Stipulations.
because the IAC is so explicit on those. on
So
those
we
areas.
can require. Great, okay.
well, so there's also language in the existing regulations that states incentive housing restriction. It's on page 44, there's about A through K, and it says I just skimmed it, it says requirement, something about a report, that there's a requirement that a report gets created. Cause there's a lot going into it. The reference to the formula pursuant to which rent or a rental unit or the maximum resale price of a homeownership will be sent. I just do not see that falling on us.
Well, and I would think that we want to track the inventory of affordable housing in town, so that's kind of one way too, to make sure that, and I used to have to do with my job, file a certification that says we have X number of units available, either rented or available to be rented to income restricted residents. So it was something I had to sign off on a quarterly basis. So maybe we say you got to sign off something like that, on an annual basis with, some financial numbers to make sure that they are sticking to it. And then we're also tracking, total affordable units in town.
It's actually a great thing to make sure if anything's open or something, that would be
Yeah.
a good thing to keep track of.
So.
Oh, here, provision that the owner or manager of incentive rental units shall file an annual report to the administering agency in a form specified by that agency certifying compliance with the affordability provisions of this regulation.
That's to the
Isn't-
agency.
Isn't
not
that
to
a little
us.
bit backwards though? Because aren't they
Um,
hiring that
The
agency?
whole- the
Well, because we're supposed to be the agency, so I think that's why.
This
we use
entire
that.
section,
Things
it's
in that.
flawed, very flawed in a lot of ways.
It was 2013, I think, most of it, right? Goes back that far.
It does.
Yeah, I thankfully was in graduate school at that time.
But Jocelyn was involved in this entire process, so I'm really shocked and surprised that she wasn't up to speed with all of this information.
Yeah, or maybe it's changed for
Oh, yeah, 2003.
time. Whatever, however, this is what we have approved, so, I mean, is it kind of a straw poll feeling that we don't want to be the administrating agency? However, we would like recurring annual report about the information that
Is
is
required.
required for our
under our
regulations of the IC zone.
Yeah, very much so.
And that would apply at this point to River Road Homes. If something moves on with others or more units, it'd be applicable to them as well. It's kind of just kind of grasp that whole zone.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, Vincent, you almost scared me to death.
That's because I'm sick.
I can't see the screen, it's just a old screen. Ooh, ooh. So we have time, do we want to maybe put together a letter to kind of approve at our next meeting to present to the Board of Selectmen? And in that letter, you can put that we do not want to be the administrating agency. Nicely put for qualifications and purposes stated. And that, however, we would require that any future development on that property annual reports would be required. I think is probably the strong enough
Do we
word.
want the ability to approve the agency? Whoever they hire?
Say it again, do we
So
want,
if they hire a third party, do we reserve the right to approve them?
we don't, but the Board of Selectmen are designated.
Somebody should be able to say, your cousin Joey just got a prison, shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, the Board of Selectmen are explicitly designated as the approval agency of any
And if it changes that, they should.
organization of that agency.
Should we make recommendations of qualifications for that agency,
Sure,
right? Because.
yeah, I mean, what is a qualified agency look like?
Maybe they, have other properties that they manage, certain number of units, whatever that may be. So it's not
Just
just,
state your qualifications.
you're right, or just, I think Jocelyn threw out a name of a management company.
That does it for everybody.
And yeah, it was kind of, yeah. So, okay, so maybe it's them or it's somebody that matches their qualifications. But it's not just somebody off the street who may not really understand or have access to verifying income and,
Qualified professional.
yeah.
Yeah, and I can only imagine in upcoming years that it's gonna evolve and change and I guess it's a good time, House Bill 8002, is anybody aware of that? That just got passed? And do you want, I know roughly, but
I would love to hear your summary
who?
and then I'll pop in.
Darn, that was it, did everybody catch that? In a very, very quick brushstroke, it's a bill that passed this particular session that, as I understand it, and Janelle will clarify much better when I finish. It in essence takes away some of the regulatory power of local planning and zoning, and maybe more within a town to, in essence, get to a certain number of affordable units. It's been talked about for the last 5 sessions, maybe, but it actually passed this one, is my understanding it passed, right?
Correct, yeah.
And I don't know, I didn't go quite deep enough, because wasn't print, well, there was like 100 and some pages, but it's like each line is numbered, and so I don't think it was final form. But it's pretty, it's what we've been fearful of, that if we do not act quick enough to get significant amount of work done, that the state will come in and, in my biased opinion, screwed up for our town, because it's a generic fit all scenario, I believe, from their perspective, compared to us tailoring to our community that we know better than anybody. So I guess my fear of this bill is that we've known it's been coming, we know the clock is ticking, but it's getting a little closer to the detonation time.
Just to counter that, I think a few things to bear in mind. Falls Village is in the same boat as most towns in Litchfield County, so I think there's a lot of solidarity in similar communities that feel the exact same way in reaction to the bill. And the other thing is, it's really contingent upon transit-oriented district
Yeah,
and infrastructure. So as much as I don't ever want to sit on our laurels and say that we're protective and there's no need to be proactive, but without public water, public sewer, there are hindrances to development. So not to say like it's crying wolf and there is this big push around housing that does take away local control. I do think that there are some natural built-in parameters in this area, not to mention the ethos of the people that would keep this at bay. And that tends to be our natural resources, our wetlands, our steep slopes, our ledge, our rocks, and our lack of public infrastructure.
yeah, I did forget about the part with the transient,
Transit oriented.
Transit oriented,
Yes.
yeah, and a
So-
lot of it will hinge upon the infrastructure, because conversion of commercial properties into residential it's a
It's
huge
it's a fire,
investment.
right? Yeah.
And it, you have to meter all the properties, if you think about it pragmatically, as much as we think like, oh, it's opening the floodgates. The time is short and time is long. There's a lot of steps that have to be taken in between.
Yeah, and right, so yeah, it's not, something that's gonna happen in 2026. But it's a step closer to where for many years we think the state is gonna, I mean, they did it with our cogs, right? And thankfully this region was wise enough to get ahead of it and form with whom we wanted to form before they mandated who we, because in their rough draft of that, we're getting a little off, but their rough draft of what our cog would look like, there were some towns involved that would not be a good fit in our cog, but
So just pragmatically speaking, so there's growth plan deadlines, so essentially what this bill has created is less of a individual plan for each municipality around affordable housing, but a regional growth plan. And essentially the final approval process is going to be in 2029 before final adoption of the plan. So it's early yet, and I'm hopeful that other small towns, much like Falls Village, will illuminate the flaws of the bill in the meantime. So it'll be interesting, but I'll read more up on it and I'd be happy to talk about it in January.
you'll have many restful sleeps reading up on it.
I've been
I
reading
did-
the summaries.
I did not get up, I did not read through it easily, let's say that.
And long story short, a lot of the funding that's talked about, these small towns, we won't really see funds because of the sewer and water infrastructure. So you need to have a sewer water infrastructure in place to expand. Some towns that have it are not interested in expanding to fit that TOD transit oriented definition. So it's ill fit for a lot of our towns up here.
Maybe could be some future funding for town septic in the village. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
So that's the administrating agency part. Would anybody want to take a crack at writing that? Janelle, do you want to crack? Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
So we'll have that ready for January's meeting,
Great.
and then we'll take another look at it, another chat about it, and if we
Sounds
like
great.
it, we'll forward it along.
Perfect.
Part two of this is the number of units.
Yeah.
So this is a tough one. When Habitat first came forward to our commission to run the idea by, none of us had any idea before they came what they were thinking. I did know that there was already questions from the first go around about the number of units, and so I was kind of shocked that they would, I didn't think that was even doable. I guess I hadn't really thought about them even being interested. I kind of thought they would just sell the whole lot or do whatever, but anyhow. We did reach out to the state at that point to try to get some clarification, because it's their, I wouldn't call it a permit, but
It is.
a permit, it was their permit
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a permit.
that very distinctly calls,
Designation.
14 units, so to not clear how 14 turned into 16. I think 16 was half of the 32, maybe. Was it, maybe that, I remember what the first, the housing trust first number was for the bigger scope before they downsized it. But on that, so we reached out, but it was like a really bad game of ping pong. It was never answered, and nobody really wanted to answer it, in my humble opinion, from the responses and lack of responses type of thing. So I think before we try to delve into that anymore, Jocelyn did say at that informational session that she would try to get clarification from DOH on that, or see what it would take to change those numbers. And I guess it would be interesting what numbers are put forth, because now there's two different groups with two different numbers and two different plans. And I don't know, I have no concept of them working collaboratively to say, well, if you're gonna speak, can you speak on all our behalf? I'm not even gonna look for it to guess. I just don't know. But I think as a member of this commission, that has concerned me, it will continue to concern me, and I would just like clarity from the
Was that,
Texas Department of Housing about the unit numbers. If we have this that says, but we have this that says 14. We did approve 16, and that I'm a little bit unclear. We'll just let that later. But what do you do with that information?
is it 14 for both total for that whole
It'd be
piece of land?
24 total.
Oh, okay,
So
so
the
14 and 10.
14, well,
No.
and this is the tricky
14.
part, because it was 14 on the IHZ zone, which is that
80
whole
acres.
parcel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
14 in the entire zone.
14 in the entire zone with a
60
maximum bedrooms of 27.
Right.
That was in the original application for the IHC. That was in our minutes from both meetings in 2013 when we discussed it and when we approved it. And we put those as maximums, period, full stop. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. But my one question that I was trying to figure out, I don't know how to figure it out, is are the Three River Road homes that are already there part of the IHC?
No,
Great, because I was getting nervous that we'd have to start
Yeah.
counting those
Yeah,
bedrooms and
yeah.
that would screw everything
it's
up.
purely that
It's just that 80 acres.
60 or 60,
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
acres.
Because that's what it looked like in the application. So
Yeah.
I have the application, I have the minutes from July 3rd of 23. I have the original application and lots. So I can give those materials to the rest of the board. It's like 30 pages of material. But it clearly states in the application and in both of our minutes 14 and a maximum of 27 bedrooms for that entire property, which would mean they're either gonna have to work together to figure that out, or whoever gets it done first wins.
Type of thing, or the state comes in, but then that may put us, we don't know. It's too early in the process, but if they do make a modification, does it fall upon a full new approval of the planning and zoning for those units? Because the first was on, and this is where I'm unclear how 14 turned into 16 and we approved. I'm unclear.
We approved 16 on that last time around.
Did we do?
No.
I think that was there.
I don't think we approved on the number.
No, it was so the thing that was also, it was a misstatement during the meeting, and I didn't want to get too in the weeds. They don't have an active zoning permit, they being the Falls Village Housing Trust. They had a site plan renewal,
Mhm.
and we didn't get too caught up in the number of units.
That's what I.
It
Yeah.
was a site plan renewal.
So they'd have to come to us for.
And they
a
would have
zoning.
to come for the zoning permit.
Correct.
So
And that's
that's where, and no matter how many times I've reiterated, these are the steps and this is the flow chart. It gets lost, that they do not have a zoning permit.
Right, so
Those expire
I
pretty
guess- I
quickly.
guess that's the units then.
So that's when all of that would come
All the
into play.
development.
And we have proof. I mean, we have the decisions, we have what we decided and what was put on that specific piece of property, because we made it very specific.
Well, I think it's so much more to it. It's a ball of yarn, it really is here. Yeah, we're looking at the units, we're trying to figure out 14, 16. But at that meeting, Habitat stood up and said, I want to put in 5 duplexes. We eventually will do 26 or 28, I forget the number. And, we're talking about 13 acres and they want to give 60 to the Conservancy. All of that as an IHZ is one property with one lot line. They cannot sell or give.
Do the regs say that though?
Well,
Does
it
the
falls
application
into
say that?
ours, right? You can't just, any modification of that line has to come through here for
Absolutely.
approval.
Yeah.
So if they're assuming that's how it's gonna work, my opinion, based on that original approval from the state of 14, let's leave that out for the moment. There's only one property, that 13 acre, that we've allowed 14. So they can't just say, I'm gonna give and sell and move and build without coming back through here for all the approvals as we would in anything.
Yeah.
That's-
Any
Like-
kind of lot
Yeah.
modification, any
Like
kind
I
of,
just
Yeah.
did.
right?
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
That, so my question is why not? And I think when the ping pong or paddleboard or pickleball with Miguel happened, I think that the question wasn't as pointed as the question that we all are asking ourselves this evening. I actually just typed it because I was thinking out loud, but why not, rather than going through Jocelyn, who's a consultant to the Falls Village Housing Trust, just go to Miguel and Sela Mascara Bruno directly and peg the question. Basically, what I've written is, it's been brought to the P and Z's attention that the IHC approval was dependent upon an application from 2013 that references 14 units with a max bedroom count of 27. There are currently approvals for developments that exceed that maximum. How do we best proceed? Do the applicants need to apply for an update to the IHC zone or modify the original application in any way? Any clarity that you could provide would be greatly appreciated. So we're not playing telephone with an organization that has in their interest in to exceed the maximum, but that we're,
Yeah, and that's a good stand.
Shouldn't we be reaching out to OPM? That's where it eventually lands.
so it lands with DOH was my understanding, was that it was because every year they approve the IHZ validity, or they write back that the IHZ remains valid. So my understanding is that it's always been Department of Housing
Department of Housing. Here's the IHC approval
what's-
letter.
from them.
Well, no, it's in 2020 when we were going back and forth with making sure we had all the right materials. That was the last time there was an approval of 2020.
So how would that differ from our first request to Miguel?
It's much more direct.
Okay.
So
If I, one thing I was going to mention, if I remember correctly, I think Housing Trust presented two layouts in their drawings of how the housing would be, and maybe one was 14 and one was 16. I almost can remember two different configurations that allowed for more housing.
Habitat, Ben.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, is can't we make this letter based off of sort of if you're gonna come to us with a building that we're gonna not approve it if you have 16. I mean, I think we're all being more proactive with them saying, hey, you better get this number to be right because you're not gonna get approved. We don't have to approve 16. We
And
can't approve 16.
we didn't say that as such, but I feel as though we said.
I think
as
it's an
such,
informed, we need to
Yeah.
tell them that.
But
I think the problem too, and it's precarious for the housing trust more than anybody right now. They're talking about breaking ground in March, right? April, whenever, something realistic, who knows, but they're relying on the federal money to break ground, which could be then what, put down concrete? I don't know what exactly they'd end up doing. Then they though have to go to the state to start requesting or being reimbursed for whatever they've spent. But the state could easily stop the whole process and go, wait a minute. We said 14, you're talking 16. And they could stop the money at that point to review or reapply or remodify.
But I don't think they could get to that point. Well, they can't get to that point without coming to us.
That's it.
Well,
We
yeah.
know about it.
Right, I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm trying to play it out down the road and that'll hurt them more than anyone.
Oh, for well, and then, you gotta take this and let's just put it out here. They don't own the land. They have a lot of money and time invested in it, but they don't own the land.
Which
And
is
if
not for
this, if
sale,
this
the way it's set
becomes,
up.
if this becomes wicket that can't be easily solved. I don't know what it looks like to solve it. In essence, Habitat holds all the cards, because they're the landowner.
Yeah.
And they might say, well, we want to do our project, sorry, Falls Village Housing Trust. I don't know that. but
They
I
could
think-
back out of it altogether
You know,
and do their own affordable homes. They don't need the IHC. Right? The Habitat doesn't.
Well, they could put an IHZ up to 14 units, 27 bedrooms. Because it's already approved.
Yeah.
It's not where it is.
So anyway, that's my point. It puts the housing trust, and I'm not leaning one way or the other for anybody, but it puts them in a precarious position. And it almost lands on us to solve it so that does not happen down the road.
Yeah, and that's where my initial thought of letting Jocelyn, giving her 2 months to get us, do the work for us, but. I like the idea of working for ourselves.
So
I'm-
why not, and if the commission blesses, so the first email sent to Miguel was much more vague. It basically stated, it's come to my attention that an applicant is entertaining using Habitat for Humanity property to develop housing under the IHC within the town of Falls Village, Canaan. I write you with the intention of understanding if the details of the application and the local zoning regulations must be harmonized, and or if the town's IHC is currently meeting all requirements. That's much more vague, and he responded very vaguely than actually writing, Dear Miguel, it's been brought to the attention that the IHC approval was dependent upon an application from 2013 to Department of Housing that references 14 units with a max bedroom count of 27. And just saying there are currently approvals for developments that exceed the map. How do we best proceed? And just get an answer straight from them.
I'm all for that.
Miguel is,
Miguel and Sheila Bruno. Sheila is the Mascara, Bruno is the commissioner, and Miguel has been the contact. He's been actually with us through the entire River Road Homes proceeding. He was actually on some Zoom calls back during
he's
the
Department
COVID era.
Department of Housing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like I should move closer to the door before I ask this question out loud. But considering the House bill that we just talked about, do we want them to build more than 14 units? In an area where we know there's already gonna be a project and it's somewhat controlled by us?
I think we still need to answer the question about the IHC application, and I don't think you as P and Z members opining on what you want is gonna put anyone at this table on the record being recorded right now in the best position, because you will need, if you remain on this commission, as I hope all of you plan on doing, to be put in a tricky position to potentially approve and or deny future applications. So rather than opine on hypotheticals, I would wait until you have a valid application in front of you.
Okay.
You don't want to be on the record saying I like or I don't like. I would just be a little careful about that.
Yeah.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're gonna find out what they're doing because they need to come through us. They're not just gonna put up 16 houses and be done.
The thing that scares me a little bit is the lack of understanding of the process. Multiple times, the reminder of the expiration was brought to the attention, and then we were really framed as the bullies for making that application be renewed, as well as the lot line modification. As you saw, it was not a punitive moment with our applicant this evening doing the Undermountain lot line. It's a requirement. We will need that for the Habitat for Humanity to split off that lot in the future. And that will be sort of the first step of putting that on the town record as a division of the IHZ zone. And I would love if we can, and not only in reviewing the regulations, but looking back at the original application to make sure it's even written that it's allowed for there to be more than one lot involved
Mhm.
and or more units than what the application is referencing.
Right.
Yeah, and it definitely is getting tricky from the initial concept of IHZ, going back to the first time I was on a little subcommittee that we couldn't find, that spot wasn't available at that point, and. You know, it was never, I don't recall anyway, and this is, we're going back a lot of years, but I don't recall us ever thinking there'd be more than one owner on the lot. We sort of thought it was one lot, one owner, one project type of thing, and organically it has changed to what the initial, my initial thought, I'll speak for myself, back, what was it, 2013, Stephen?
2013, May, June, and July.
Yeah.
So they're gonna start clearing in March or April, right? You would think that the transfer of land has to happen before that, which you would think that they would need to come soon for their lot line change.
For sure.
I'm nervous that that concept is missed. And
I think they are believing that everything is kind of hunky dory. I'm gonna sell to you, we're gonna give that to that, but it isn't. I think that's our dilemma now.
yeah. it's a
We
good
need
point.
to figure this out I mean, before we're done the discussion, I'm already sitting here coming up with a motion to put this whole thing on pause until we resolve some of these things internally. And to your point, the next one coming down the road, you know, at least we'll, or Janelle as well, just will be set up properly and ready. But this one sort of slipped through the crack a little bit. And I think now that we're aware of it, and it's on the table, I think we need to stop and fix it. So we need an answer from either Miguel or the OPM or wherever it's coming from to clarify. Because if it's one property, 66 acres, the owner can do what they want with it, but not within the IEZ regs. So get rid of that if you want, sell to whoever you like if you want, but that's not what it is right now. So we need to resolve this, I think, first.
It's really interesting because the IHC zone mentions singular housing development, so N incentive housing development, one
Yes, it's
development.
very clear about one.
And I think two things in Doug's thinking, and I don't see them getting their process in like buttoned up quickly either with funding and waiting. It seems like this is a hurry up and wait game at the moment. But I think to be proactive as the P and Z to get ahead of it, my two suggestions would be one, that very clearly worded email to Miguel and to Sheila at Department of Housing asking about the number of units, and then a reminder email to Falls Village Housing and to Habitat for Humanity saying prior to any lot clearing or any improvements, the lot line modification has to happen. And it happens in the same manner that all other lot line modifications happen.
So I suggest we move forward, and I like the idea of being expedition and sending that email now. That's a good idea. Instead of waiting, I was trying to be respectful, but I like that better. And I think we're still respectful, but just in a different way. And then, you know, I think not only send a pointed letter to FEHT and Habitat, but also CC them in on our communication with Miguel. There's no hidden agendas here.
No.
It can't be any more forthright. And I don't want them to say, oh, well, we found out because we read about it in the paper. It's here's just CC them in. That's the only way this can all work, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully Coulter will know, and I want no secrets here, right? This is
That's
cannot
why we
be,
did the meeting.
yeah, this
Yeah.
cannot be
Clarity.
any,
Yeah.
I mean, we're just doing our jobs, and
we're asking for clarity.
Yeah.
We're asking these questions. We're saying, hey, we had requirements. You guys brought us an application that didn't have those requirements met. We're writing you a letter saying, hey, next time you come to us, you're not gonna get what you want because you're not meeting
And
the
we're adding on.
requirements. And we're trying to be proactive to say, hey, you're gonna come to us in 2 months. You better have it done, or you're gonna be 2 months further behind because you didn't have it done. I
and
think it's in our best interest to write that.
in their best interest, everybody's interest all the way around, because, you know, I don't want to start clearing a site, which they really, I mean, and I feel the frustration and the concern out of Janelle about not getting the message, but I don't know how else we could get the message out there, right? I
No,
mean,
you just put it
It's
in
a
writing.
very, it's a very, it's not complicated even, it's a checklist, right? You know, it's no different than Matt building a house, it's just different, but it's the same process, right?
Well,
It's not,
Yeah,
it's the same route sheet in essence.
I mean, you treat it all the same, regardless of the fact that it's affordable housing. I think the thing is here, it's consistent enforcement, and I think heckles seem to be a little raised just in some of sort of, and I understand it, it tends to be charged at times, but I think coming towards us in fulfilling the requirements and the compliance, it's not that we're being defensive, or it's not that like we're, oftentimes it becomes a defensive reaction when we ask for the renewal, we ask for the lot line modification. It's actually just doing our jobs and making sure that we're not showing differential treatment and or showing like, oh yeah, no, it's fine because it's affordable housing. It's not required to go through the ropes of everybody else. And I think that's really important just to establish that standard and make sure that that is seen as
Yeah,
consistent.
I mean, and the transparency to the landowner.
And I think it's
Is
good
only
for us
right.
to go to them. I mean, I think we should say, hey, we have these concerns and these questions, and we would rather not them come up later. We have them now.
Do you think just sending that sort of email to Miguel with them copied will catch them off guard and or without a precursor email saying, just wanted to let you know the P and Z is proactively following up on a few questions, or do you think just?
Well, I think you write Miguel and you CC them and you write them an email as well, and they can go out together at the same time. I think
Yeah.
we're looking for information from the
Yeah.
state and from
Yeah.
them. I mean, I think it's.
Brought up in the meeting, so I don't think it's.
Yeah, we're not looking for anything that, it isn't gonna help them.
Yeah.
We're trying to help them. We're being proactive
Yeah, yeah.
in this process.
And just as, just to be very clear, both chairs, so to Bob Whalen and,
Yes,
Jandy, yeah.
Jandy,
Great.
yes, please.
Yeah, perfect.
And I think Jocelyn should be involved because she,
That's up to.
it's up to them. to
That's,
do it. Okay,
it's
great.
her, she's a
Fine.
consultant,
Great.
so,
But
yeah.
I understand where you're going with that, but I don't think that one moves without the
No,
other.
that's fine.
That's,
I just want her to be involved in how it's all happening.
I just respect all of you as residents of this town, so I don't wanna go forward with any sort of communication, knowing that sometimes I step away as a consultant, but you're living here and interacting with your neighbors, and I just wanna make sure when we are sending out communications that it's in a manner that you're all aware of and expecting.
I think it's very important that you write this.
Great.
Yeah, yeah, and especially knowing their timeline, right? Cause they're,
Yeah.
it's gonna probably take a couple meetings to get that lot line change
yeah, that's
through.
why I like
right?
not waiting. So
Yeah,
definitely.
and that coming off the heels of the community meeting, right? It's just all
And I,
on the top.
great, I think if anything, there's one email, this email to Miguel, and then a follow-up email to Bob and to John D. It's basically saying, just following up some questions that got asked during the housing informational. We wanna make sure that the lot line, the process of the lot line modification is understood. You do need to come back before the commission. If you have any questions, let us know. Here's the application. Cause I felt like that was portrayed as if it's signed, sealed, delivered.
And let's just CC in our board of selectmen.
The
To the
three,
letter, yeah, or to date.
for the lot line or for two,
Our letter to the state, just so that,
by letter, do you just mean relatively informal email?
the one that goes to Miguel.
Yeah,
I was thinking we should put Dave Barger as first selectman on the, as a CC unit on behalf of the town. So the planning and zoning submitting, and I just think it's a,
great. I
just to
appreciate
bring
that.
all those layers.
Great.
Not
Yeah.
that they have a say in zoning, but it's.
He's gonna be the administering agency.
Well, they are, the people that sign off on the IHZ application, they are the ones that actually have to renew the application. They are I mean, so it should have some sort of selectman connection.
Great, 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 great.
And we are under the board of.
I think they can perceive this as, why are you doing this to us kind of thing, and it's
That's-
not. But ultimately, we're trying to protect them and maybe help them in the process. I mean, I saw Bob at that meeting when it was brought up about, the IHZ being 66 and you can't do anything with it. There was this look on his face, so immediately I would have been to the lawyer and said, is this true? Is this right? We're doing some of that work for them, right? We're gonna find out where we stand on all this, and maybe it's gonna work for them. Hopefully, if that's the best for the town too, it works, but I just don't think we can blindly go forward, nor should they. Assuming, a year from now, when you're trying to recover funds from what you've done, the state says, we're sorry, we can't.
Yeah, and it's, get it right the first time type of project. Don't practice on something that large. It is not the
Well,
scale of
too,
anything
right?
that's ever happened in this town, and
Yeah,
for the appropriate purpose of it, and for this commission.
yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
a great thing to do. And again, it's, how could it, it could be, if you construe it as punitive, then that's on the party who construes it that way, because it's anything but.
Right.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a good point. I mean. Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think. Just to speak candidly. I would like in any event, whenever approvals are happening, particularly with the Falls Village Housing Trust, that it's a part of the process and it's not, it isn't just because of River Road Homes or anything, it's truly a part of every process. Something as benign as an agricultural conservation easement that had to spend time in our meeting this evening and be subject to possible questions.
So
I
it's been
think,
a long work in the progress.
yeah, I think just that communication, yeah.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we formally form a motion for Janelle to write that letter and subsequent letters to the Falls Village Housing Trust and Habitat?
Can you say
You want to separate that?
emails?
Emails, yes.
Just
Email?
because they're not letters.
To us, they are,
Electronic
Janelle.
letter.
Maybe
Yeah.
not,
They're
maybe not
letters
you
in
and,
the email that all go together to form words.
maybe not you and Matt, but the rest of us are letter.
It's an age thing.
I love an electric letter.
I'm waiting for my electric letter.
If we make a motion through electronic format and TikTok,
Zero. No.
somebody wanna try their shot at creating that?
I make a motion to ask Janelle to write an email to the Department of Housing and to the Falls Village Housing Trust. Asking them Habitat and Habitat as well, so all three, as well as CCing our first selectman, Dave Barger. Asking the question about the number of housing units that are required within the IHZ for the 66-acre piece or property or however
I see it doesn't.
word that part, but that piece of property is what we are that these stipulations on, and we want to make sure that everybody knows it. I think it's got clarity.
Great.
Is that an okay motion?
Yeah, and it was a little wordy, but
You were the one who kept adding me to add the stuff to it.
on, Steve.
Please do it, Janelle. That's my motion.
Is there a second on that? Please do it to no motion. Kidding on that part.
I second.
Kim, is there any discussion, further discussion? Further?
I was under the impression that, that Habitat was not going to give them the land unless they were able to go through all the motions of getting the housing.
I think that was the deal that they made in the beginning. It wasn't that they're not going to give it to them. They don't have to close it till they get all their ducks in a row. It meant they didn't have to raise that money.
They being who, for clarity?
Falls Village Housing Trust not gonna buy the land until they get the funding
Right.
for the property.
And then I heard Eileen say
I thought it was Habitat wasn't gonna sign over the land unless they,
Unless Falls Village Housing Trust?
yes,
Being they,
Yes,
Same thing
It's
said differently, right?
the full
Yeah.
approval.
same thing.
yeah,
Or.
yeah, because it's, I mean, it's not, it's, I thought it wasn't like a real big money trade-off
It's the
here.
first money from the state. They get money to buy the land and they get money to clear it. And once they get that approval is when Habitat was gonna sell the property or do the transfer of that property, but they weren't gonna transfer it until then.
Which is
So-
an interesting point.
We couldn't approve anything until it's theirs.
Exactly.
We are really stuck in this weird, like,
Yes.
So-
symbiotic,
right.
The
unwanted relationship.
multiverse.
Because you got this one that's not gonna fund it until that, but we can't do that. It's like the Three Stooges.
Well,
right?
until we
Where-
hear that the IHC can actually be, the lot lines can be modified and adjusted without a full formal reapplication, which is probably gonna be required. None of that matters. That's all moot.
Mhm.
Nobody can even talk about. So I think that point should go to Habitat and the trust and say, listen, this is the conversation we're having. We're trying to resolve this, but you guys are really literally put on hold until we do. Right? They can't, Habitat cannot sell 60 or sell 10 as it is right now today.
Yeah, and then I don't know what that plan is, so yeah, but I mean, hopefully this should be clear. But are you suggesting we write even a more poignant letter,
Well, I think,
email?
we're talking about transparency and just clarity. I just think, if they're wondering where this is all coming from, the crux of it is that I8Z is a 66 acre, one lot basically, and 14 units approved by one group, development, whatever. And that it then excludes everybody else until we get a definitive answer from the state. Maybe it's a simpler process. I don't know. I get a feeling you're gonna have to reapply the whole thing.
So to Doug's point, your email to, I can't let that go.
He's an old guy.
Your electronic transaction.
But if I said to my dad, I sent you a letter, he would check the mail.
That's right.
That's fine.
I'll put Mario down there.
So the letter to Habitat and Fallsville Housing Trust, you can kind of convey that Doug's point in essence.
Which I was trying to follow, just that. The assumption is that the IHC was for a singular lot.
A singular lot, singular project.
Singular
for
project,
14
singular
units.
lot,
Yeah.
14 units, 27 bedrooms. Where was the miscommunication and why wasn't it solid?
Well, that's a little bit of a different spin.
But I'm more just saying, it's the same idea.
I was like,
And that's a later question after the first question. I don't think that the next question of lot
Continuation of the
lines.
multi.
Yeah, I'm hearing like, it's cause for them to pause before they do any transaction that can't be backed out, and in essence, could be a negative effect on the concept of the project.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't hesitate to write these because it's just quite frankly stating facts and doing my job. And I'm more than happy to always be the spokesperson for this commission. I just know that in asking them, Falls Village Housing Trust to come forward for the renewal, it caused angst amongst them.
Yeah, I think it's just
Gotta
asking
follow
questions.
regulations.
I don't
I
think
mean,
we're
I'm
asking
sorry,
them
but
that question. I think we're asking them about the number of units and that, and
I think this is a big enough favor.
I think
Yeah.
that's
To be honest, making
Yeah.
sure they're in the know and,
Totally,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, because we certainly don't have to do it.
No.
And they can't
but
move
we
on
don't
without.
wanna,
Let's us get some direction.
And to
Everyone's on
Doug's,
the-
I
yeah.
just wanna make sure that I properly represent Doug's point in the letter. Did you want me to ask them to proactively deal with reconciling the fact that they're now proposing multiple lots? And more development because it's ultimately their
I think
responsibility.
the one entity is what we need to tell them. I think that's part of what we're trying to convey to them.
Well, but yes, yes. But I'm hearing that you're saying, do we want to be a little bit more direct in that?
It's
So I'm all about
it's
directness
their
at this point.
responsibility as
And I
the
do, you
applicant.
guys made a great point. we're absolutely working in tandem with all parties in this very complicated. I feel like we're in like a third dimension or something.
Um, we in 2013 we had reasons for all this. We did the 27 units because of wastewater and the treatment of that, and because of the Housatonic River overlay zone that lays in. So that's why the requirements of the bedrooms came in. The reason that we put in the 14 homes was because of the road access and where it was being put in our community. So we actually have reasons within why we made those choices, and there's other stipulations. The Housatonic River overlay zone is already there, so we can't change that stipulation.
Do you mind passing that along so we all? have
I
it? think
can
it would be-
I can make physical copies. I don't know if I have it digitized. Oh, maybe I do at home. Yeah, I can send it out if you'd like.
It's not a hurry, yeah,
But yes, I have all the minutes. I have all the
so you say you could do a
documentation.
letter or an email?
I can do both. I've done both. I got an email, I got letters,
I can scan it right to the
Yeah.
email.
postcard. I got options. So
Great.
yes, I can,
I think it would
Send
just
that
be good
packet out.
because if you have it all together.
I do.
I could hand peck through old records, but never nice and neat and tidy like
Yeah,
that.
no, got it all squared.
Excellent.
Thanks.
And then, I suggest it's a great reading. There's a whole section on incentive housing zones and Connecticut general statutes. Chapter 124B starts, and it's very pleasurable reading. Enjoy.
It's 124B in the,
124B, chapter 124B, section.
but in the what? What
Connecticut
CGI.
general statute.
statute? Okay.
And interesting, it must be the only state that uses this. You don't even have to type general if you're Googling, you could just put in like 8-13 and it goes right to that section. It's pretty cool. But it's, not that we wanna, but it just might be further background about the zone. I mean, we already have it developed. Maybe to look at it, or we get a bunch of eyes just to kind of let's just pause, hit the brakes and look at it from a state level of what they require. Look at what we have locally, which is in our regs already, and kind of, I have not read them 100% from start to finish. Read some of them. And it's just a matter of kind of laying one next to the other and just getting a concept in our heads, because if some sort of change is to happen, I think the more information we have as a body, the better. So, because anything that comes at us locally as it can only be, will be biased one direction. Where I think if we kind of look at it a little more global view, we can decipher for our own commission what the requirements of IAC are. All right.
Is there a motion on the table?
I think there is. I think Tim seconded it. Yes, we have discussion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Great. Thank you,
Um,
Janelle, for doing it.
You're welcome.
was your concept to have everybody sign these?
If they want to, no one is pressured.
Nobody is pressured, but these are nicely, these will be mailed in what do we call that? Snail mail?
Actually, those are letters.
It's a card.
A true letter. To the Falls Hills Housing Trust and Habitat, thanking them for their willingness to come out. That was, I think, overall, I think it helped us even to get to where we are tonight. And, I think it's our responsibility as
I think
this
we should all
commission
sign it.
that's been asked for this long to for a meeting. They didn't have to do it. We didn't have to set it up, but we were willing and they were willing. And I think it actually was very healthy. It was all.
And to have it all in
You're
minutes
asking
and
us
in
to
the public
sign?
Yeah,
record.
and if you would like
is
to
the
sign
most
them,
important part
I
of
did
that
sign them. If
whole
you guys want to sign them as commissioners, feel
Yeah,
free
let's.
with no
I
pressure.
think we all should. I think it's great. Thank you for doing
And then it's, it's just, as we look forward, I think it was, maybe more will be required in the future and, I heard the comment this evening of nobody showed up. Well, I think a lot of people showed up. And those that had an interest, not everybody could make it, that's how life is, but we had the meeting, we posted it, we recorded it, posted it, put it out there for those that weren't able to make it to at least look at it. And hopefully if they have a concern, they spend the time to watch it and they can reach out to us. So I think we're doing everything and then some from our commission's perspective to be transparent and open to this process.
Chairman, just to add, as you know, I work with many towns and few towns go this far above and beyond to bring members of the community together to understand development. So like, I applaud you all for putting yourselves in that position because many volunteers would ignore the questions and stay at home and not actually put themselves out there. So it's part of why I appreciate working with all of you so much.
Thank you.
Greg, I'd like to sign that also. When are you gonna mail it?
As soon as you sign it.
I mean, if you guys wanna,
Won't be until the weekend, because I'm in the city. I've got doctors all week.
Mail it to you first and then.
it. Well, you can sign it for me.
Some Christmas stamps if you
Can we
need them.
email it?
So Vince, what I'll do is I will hold on to them
We get it,
and you and I will touch base over the weekend and then we'll get them out.
good.
I'll mail them out.
then
once you're-
you might be in charge of actually affixing the address on the envelope, which I know.
Forget it, Vince. No, yes, we'll,
Well, just sign my name to it, that's all.
all right, we'll do that. Matt's gonna sign your name right now.
Good.
You don't want my chicken scratch.
I'm gonna spell your last name perfectly, Vince.
Draw a portrait of you, Vince.
So you seriously okay with us signing it for you?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay.
Just wanted to-
I am as well.
Okay.
No,
I would
thank you.
sign it if I was there, yeah.
Awesome, thanks.
Matt's signing for both of you.
Yeah,
Perfect.
okay.
Okay, excellent. Moving on. For a Village Park, Village Center parking plan, nothing. Solar committee update, nothing. Old firehouse sale, I really wanted to kind of pin down Attorney Vale because First Selectman Barger is told the sales committee that he's trying to set up a meeting with her to ask some questions about putting this building out to sale under the old approved town approval. And he wants clarity from Attorney Vale that that's okay to do. At which point I said, you get a date and I will call a meeting. I'm chairman of that sales committee. I'll call a meeting on whatever date works for the attorney. I have checked multiple times and I have not been given a date yet. So hopefully, fingers crossed, something sooner than now.
I have also talked to him several times to encourage some momentum on this. I just do not understand what's so difficult. I do understand that they have a school bus stored in the firehouse now. And I do notice a lot more cars being parked across the street again. So if they don't move on this before in the next month, it's all gonna go till next spring again.
Squatters' rights.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's our second school. Moving on, dark skies implementation. I was hoping Chris or Dave would be here because I'm not sure LHK has been
I don't think so.
talked about. You haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything.
So we'll leave that on there because that's our the daycare had, taken steps and then something happened with their timer. The lights were out of whack, but then it seems like they got that reset, but we still have the killer spotlight coming out the front door of Kellogg, so. Honestly, we've been chasing this for 7 months. Maybe if it's not by next time we meet, maybe I'll just pen a letter and you guys could read it and see if you're okay with the submission to the school.
Fantastic.
It's not, I mean, it's nothing punitive, it's not
No.
a thing, it's
I mean,
just-
So why don't we
can
write a
we
letter?
can we write a letter to Kellogg and have them, or do we go
We
through the,
really, we
uh,
could, I think the proper
through?
is through this
Okay.
office, but,
I think we can write the letter,
yeah.
or you can.
I think we volunteer to go teach a class on the importance of dark sky.
And everybody's away from it, we don't have the lights.
Bring the ladder.
We get removed from the school.
You want us to deal with it, we'll deal with it. Birdshot.
The historical meeting house as well. It's on the hit list of the dark sky violators
Yeah, so,
down in South Canaan.
yeah, so I'm gonna have a conversation with the chairperson to see if we can willingly do something, because there has been negative comments about that light, loves lights.
Everyone had a chance.
Yes, thank you.
Zealand, okay.
So that's dark sky, so
Here we go.
I heard you say should we just write it?
Yes, please.
Is that, do you want me to put that on my to-do list?
I do.
Great. LH Kellogg and
Motion.
Historical Society?
I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah, why don't we put both on?
Yeah, that we write a letter to the Kellogg, asking them to comply with our dark sky initiative with their light out front, and the same with the Historical Society at the South Canaan Meeting House.
I will be volunteering you as a commission to go teach the class at high school in the letter.
Perfect.
Why, thank you.
You are most welcome.
Moving on.
Second that.
Oh,
Oh, good point.
good point. No, thank you, Patty.
I'll second it.
Eileen, is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Item 5, POC implementation subcommittee update.
Yes, we met last night, had a good meeting, put together a letter. Kind of an intro again, going out to boards and commissions, kind of explaining who we are, what we're doing. And opening up a invitation, or asking it to be put onto their agendas as their meetings come up so that we could come visit. Stephen, did you make copies of that?
Yes, everyone has a copy of that.
Okay. So,
And then you have a digital copy to send out.
yes, and I'll sign it and take care of all that. So the link in the middle is the workbook that we developed, which is now on the website, our town website. So if you go to P and Z and under resources, you'll see this. We're going to introduce that as we talk to people again, try to get people more involved. Had a nice little chat with Mark Burdick in between, at the end of our meeting last night, as inland wetlands was coming in. They're interested, he sounded pretty upbeat about it, so we're trying to do that, just keep this information flowing, offer people assistance wherever. Try to get invited to some of these meetings, and yeah, just as we go, update that workbook. So P and Z, for example, we've done a fair amount of things as the grant group. Those things can be updated in the workbook. So as we go along, we're hoping people would do that. The only hitch is that anything edited or any editing has to go through Kim Mahoney as the administrator of that document. We just don't want people erasing or changing or playing with the P O C D as it is. So we'll bring that up. We'll make sure everybody knows and how to get in touch with Kim and all that as we're going along. Any questions, any comments, anything you want different or added maybe to it?
No, I think it's great. I guess, ultimately my fear is lack of participation, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure how else we can lead that horse.
Well, I think it's just nudging. I think this is the first nudge.
Yeah.
And then you nudge again and you get one meeting in and then you nudge for the next meeting. I mean, I think that's just what we'll do. We'll nudge
Well,
our way in there.
It was interesting last night because one of their main agenda last night was about trees and cutting trees and clearing land and roads and yada, yada. And we said, well, there may be some grant money out there, so we're starting to tie it in that way. This is a very practical project, and if there's money there, maybe the grant group can help you find it.
Yeah,
So
they're
they kinda-
doing the tree warden thing now. They're going road by road and
Oh, no.
themselves,
Oh, no.
making, marking,
Wow.
doing all the tree work themselves.
Yeah.
And they've
Yeah.
got 4 roads done so far.
Oh, nice.
But he
And they're
perked
doing
up
it all
when he heard that.
themselves.
Who's doing this?
The inland wetlands.
Really?
Yes, because of what we brought to them from the All Falls Village thing last year when I
That's awesome.
met with them.
Good for them.
trees.
So
Yeah,
then,
and they're very adamant about it. It's very important and they're very forthright in making sure it's accomplished.
Yeah, no, it's treacherous.
It's fantastic.
everybody gets, if there's
The road I always bring up, Page Road, there was more ash trees than.
Yeah,
how they-
those roads, one of the roads they've done under mountain. is
Under-
almost
under.
finished.
Have you
Under-
gotten
Not on my
feedback
end.
from any of the boards or commissions saying that they wanted to see amendments to the plan or things added to the plan that wasn't in there?
No, I have not. We've been to a number of meetings. Ironically, there's only about 6 groups that actually meet. Some of them don't even post when they meet. Or extended. Small town stuff, which is fine, but no, we haven't had anybody really coming back to us. Any suggestions or questions or comments?
Got it.
Yeah. So this sheet I'm handing out, Greg can probably fill you in more than I, but Denise asked me to at least present it. This comes from the grant group, and apparently they've hired a research person to actually do the legwork to find grants that are appropriate. So the question for us, as P and Z and the POCD and implementation committee was, can we look at these things, which are sort of highlights of where this is all out of the POCD, and be a little bit more specific, basically. So if you can't narrow something down, it's impossible to find a grant that'll fit it. So it's a little bit of an assignment for all of us, but if you see something or you're working with another group or somebody in town and they say, well, like Mark last night, so I can go to you guys, these grant group, and say, well, yeah, they're doing this tree project. That's pretty specific. So we're trying to get a little bit more honed in on detail instead of just these broad strokes about economic development, for example. What does that mean? How are we gonna do?
And we'd like some of your suggestions too, as a board and a commission. To fill in some of these questions yourself as well, so that when we go to an individual board and say, hey, these are the POCD requirements. We have potential grant opportunities. This is some of the language we were looking in. These are some of the questions that we had for you, and that might help start them thinking about the process as well. So I thought it was important to have more than just 1 or 2 people's thoughts in this, because if we spread it out with more, we might have more ideas, which I think is important to this process.
Sometimes I find through developing all this is that developing communication within the town is that sometimes people look at it as, oh my gosh, well, this town can't afford that, I can't pay more taxes, but they're already started to look at it the wrong way. Let's develop the idea and try to get money from another source, right? So something doesn't have to cost you. Sometimes it can make you money. There's people that'll jump on board. There's sponsors. There's grants, but it just, it's hard as we're thankfully a small town, but we need input.
But we
at
are the
least to what we're saying.
POCD people. So
Yeah.
if this is actually from the POCD, I think it's important for us to be the champion of our community's wants and desires, and to help fulfill this and say, hey, this is for the Board of Selectmen to do this part, but here's the reasons why this is important.
Yeah.
Or I just think it's up to us to, part of our implementation is this.
So just helping.
I guess as an assignment, can I ask you all to, by next meeting, just take a look at the list? Maybe grab one or two and come back with some little bit more particular ideas about some of these categories?
Hmm.
And then I can get that back to Greg or to the grant group and yeah, who knows, maybe this person can find another grant looking for us. The money's out there, you know, it's just applications for those are so particular. If you don't, you know, cross all your Ts and dot all the Is, you're just not gonna get it. So,
The $1 million question is, how do we get people to come and suggest stuff?
I'm not sure, I mean, people can be invited anytime, but I think that's why we're starting here. We can get this, because we know the P O C D well enough, we drafted it, we came up with it. If there's anything, you know, you're involved with a lot of different groups off to the side. Mark's a great example just to start out, so it's more about, you guys are out and about, talk it up, you know. If you see some of the chairman of some group or somebody somewhere, just kind of, as conversation, bring it up, and this is what we're trying to do, do you have any pet projects, you know?
And part of it is to link these questions to a board or a commission too. If you
Yeah.
think that, hey, the social worker should deal with this, then let's make sure we contact the social worker with this information and say, hey, the community wants this is part of the POCD, and here's some action steps that we would be interested in you performing. And I think that that's kind of what this is about. This homework is to try to use this information to go, where does it go? Who does it go to? And then how can we help that person with the community's wants? Because this is part of the POCD implementation. Is this isn't what the Planning and Zoning Commission has come up with. We're facilitating the community's desires or the community's wants, or however you want
We
to
don't,
say it.
I find I don't know what anybody wants. You know what I mean? There's not. You put
Yeah.
yourself out there and what do you need? What do you need? And there's nothing.
Yeah, it
There's-
could be very insular, but I think it's getting a little off topic and we'll get right back on. But, you know, the rec commission, for example, has been great at reaching out, looking for additional outside grant funding for stuff they're already doing, stuff they want to do. So it's just, I think,
It's the starting of the
it's the
process.
starting of the process, starting, you know, having these conversations, and I concur, it's very tough sometimes. It's like, you know, just crickets. You could put this out here and it's just like, this is, I look at this and I commend you guys. This is, even though it's out of our plan, it just narrows it down and it's good starting, right? To answer this, it kind of puts your mind back in that, but then, you know, an offshoot, right? I call them rabbit holes, right? You shoot down this rabbit hole, which is not always bad. Unless you're trying to get out here by 8:30.
And part of our subcommittee, we did want to bring this material back so that it was a representation of the whole board and commission, not just the 4 people that are on the subcommittee. We felt that that was very important.
Nice. I like it.
Just, may I add just one
Mhm.
quick thought? One quick thought, and this sort of spins off of the tax question and the spending money question. Deferred maintenance is such a huge problem for our towns. And capital improvements are really, really important and they affect, if a bridge is out, we know. So I think if you're having trouble identifying needs, think of your roads, because that's actually not attractive at all, but it is one of the most capital expenditures of any town. So if you are really thinking about your tax base and how to work some grant funding into the mix, the towns that are really savvy with grants for maintenance of things that aren't that exciting are actually the ones that churn out really good, because it's a smooth running ship and you don't even quite know. But I would look at the town facilities, because they're community resources, and see how you can enhance them and or maintain them.
Yeah.
And I think like the community pool here in Falls Village, there's more expansive grounds, there's plenty to do out there, but to really think through what you have as a town as far as property goes too.
Great. Anything further?
No, that's cool, thanks.
Thanks, Barry. That's great work. P and Z monthly financial report review from town treasurer, item G. Somehow, even though I took this horrible picture and somehow only printed out one of them. I'm
I.
not sure what the original is. But I didn't,
I couldn't get it to print.
I didn't print them.
I
couldn't
didn't,
either.
I got them
uh,
all printed, sorry.
Thanks, Greg.
I'll do better in actual scan next time. It was-
Can she print our treasurer?
She printed them and I had the hard copy, but I didn't get to my office and I wanted to give it to you.
Okay.
I've learned my lesson. Well, I think, yeah. Anyway. I was trying to figure out how to scan for my phone and obviously it just became a picture. So I
There's
don't know,
there's a really great app called Genius Scan. You take a picture and it converts it to a PDF automatically.
excellent.
Oh.
Genius scan.
Genius Scan. I use it all the time.
That's fine.
Nice, thank you.
Right, actually, download it right now.
I think Apple's got one built in, so.
It did.
I just
the
don't-
notes. It's in
Well,
notes.
and I have an Apple and
In what?
sometimes it'll
Notes?
scan, but I couldn't get it to
Notes.
give me
Yeah.
that option, whatever.
That's okay.
Now I
okay.
know about
That's okay, I
Genius
got it.
Y'all
Scan.
got it.
Now we know Genius Scan, we're good.
You just use more ink to print it this way.
Yeah, I know. But anyhow, I don't see anything out of line. So if anybody has a comment, now's the time, otherwise we'll move on.
I just bring us up with our whole discussion around the road thing. You thinking we're anywhere along the line, we're gonna need to consult with the town lawyer?
Very likely.
Yeah. Is there, how do we do that then? Cause there's a zero line item, I believe, right?
No, we got money in there, not much, but what did we get, $1,000? And then, you know, what and if and when, we'll have to just kind of go to the selectmen and the board of finance saying this is
So we
what
would go,
we
right?
have
approach
one.
them.
Yeah.
In there, and they
So
said.
what
they
did you
would
think
give
the
us-
lawyer before?
I don't know. I mean, you know, as you get into this and people get, to your point, offended or whatever, everybody knocks on the lawyer's door first, right?
I just thought that the complexity of our discussion earlier, regulations, I see those letters that it was a complex enough that if we're not running, who does? There's gotta be someone that is an expert in knowing what other towns are doing.
That's what I do for a living.
And you're stepping back. So, but the question was,
Like, I don't think lawyers are doing a
Yeah.
lot, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Well,
from my
it-
experience with
yeah.
them, but
And we're, you know, thankfully, I hate to do this when she's sitting here, but Janelle keeps us out of needing many lawyers compared to what
hope.
potentially,
Say that out loud.
what potentially we could, just with your experience and your knowledge. But we're at a point in this process, that's why I said to the attorney that possibly we could be needing one. Because when things get to the final hour, that's when people will start pulling illegal and, you know, that's not to be lawyers, but that's why I sort of encouraged going to the state and reading through the IHZ, just better grasp, so, you know, 12-hour comments, you know, the more you know, the more you know, but I don't expect any of us to know it all. And if we need representation, that's how we.
Yeah, just a thought, we should consider it month to month as we go.
Yes. So the missing, do you have both pages of it? There should be a line item, does it show a line item for legal?
Would it be
It's a fact.
attorney? It's $1.
I think it's $1 because I think that that's set up that in the event that
No, that's gotta be an.
No, it's
error, though.
1,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
1,001.
2001.
Yeah, 1,001.
I
'cause
remember it was a
we got
big
it
long
approved.
conversation.
because when we went back to
Oh,
town
no, we
meeting,
were very
I
adamant.
think it was asked for
about that.
2, and then there was, no, I
Yes.
can't have any, and then it went to the one.
See, Matt, if you had a hard copy that was mailed. to
Yeah,
you,
Matt.
Well, I see attorney, $1.
No.
Is there, or am I looking way? Well, that might be,
That's a different app, that's Genius Financial Reading.
I mean, I trust you guys.
What
I'm
are you
just,
even reading now?
I see $1,000 under miscellaneous.
It says
Oh, no,
attorney,
there it is.
budget 1,000 and we haven't spent it, so we're still $1,000 under budget.
I'm
It's on the
curious
top.
about
One.
regulation
1001.
reviews. I'm looking forward.
Hmm.
So if it's $1,000 sounds great.
One thing I would like to add, by consensus is discussion of our December meeting. I don't think we don't need a motion, but by consensus, could we add that as item C under other business?
Where are we?
We are under, five, we
we're
just
gonna
finished
add
up
C.
You got
B,
next.
but I'm proposing we add item C, December, discussion about December meeting. No objections to that?
No.
Seeing that we have no applications coming in December. And Janelle is unavailable for a December meeting. If people are in favor, I propose we cancel it and reconvene in January.
It's great.
Yeah, we'd have to move it anyway, because Christmas is on Thursday.
We already moved it.
Oh, we did?
We did have it
Oh,
moved.
okay.
Chanel
Of
could
course we
be
did.
there, and we're gonna just do it anyways. And no, I think it's smart.
Yeah,
Let's
there's not a lot.
let's
cheaper
cancel
pressing.
the December meeting. And we're moving forward. We're not gonna have December meetings anyway, so let's start
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Next year, we canceled it anyway.
Let's
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Greg,
So,
Greg,
motion.
do we, do
Go
we,
ahead, Vince.
do we try to have a firehouse meeting in December?
That would be great, if not in November still.
That'd be better, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. So yes, Stephen, I'll take your motion.
So I make a motion to cancel our regular scheduled meeting for December 16th.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Doug, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That's the most enthusiastic I.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to number 6, item A, GIS mapping and village business zone expansion.
Okay, so to make this quick, and hopefully everyone has gone and poked around on your town's GIS mapping, has everyone had that fun?
Thank you
Yeah.
for doing that.
Yeah, that's
That
awesome.
was amazing.
Honestly,
Marvin
it
was-
was all the credit goes to Mark.
I mean, we got that for free. So we should be very happy, and the budgeting that was looking at that was gonna be tens of thousands, so it's a good first step, but it'll also allow us to now spend a little money to add the things that we wanted to add.
So to that point.
Sorry.
So if you haven't, I would just highly recommend click on mapping, you'll go to zoning department, and not only are there wetland soils, there's Housatonic slope overlay, there's ridge line, there's elevation points, there's flood line, the flood zone overlay, but there's also Canaan zoning, which is our zoning map digitized. So
Good.
Marwin, I've worked with him in other towns. I appreciate working with him. We've had a lot of laughs over the years about certain mapping issues that have popped up. And he took a stab at doing the zoning and was able to tackle it. And he did a great job. The next thought around potential expenditure would be to map this village business zone expansion so that all of those that would be, it would be very easy for mailing, and for all of those that would be in the district,
Mhm.
for us to have what it is now, what it would be. And I years ago created the map with the help of a GIS specialist based on an old map. What I think would be great now is to give Marwin a list of the properties that we were looking to include and have him price out how much it would be. Just listening to him wanting to do the work, he's like, it would be relatively nominal. I do know we have our miscellaneous item. So if okay with this commission, what I would love to do is between now and when we meet in January, give him the memo that I've developed for the village business zone expansion, and have him create a beta test of the layer that would be the expansion, so that then we could use it for demonstrative purposes and for mailing purposes in the event that we finally move forward with that expansion. So I don't mind working with Marwin and getting him to work on that
That would be
between now and
amazing.
January. And I hope to bring a price with me to the meeting in January.
And it's exactly why we wanted this layer, was specifically to deal with the village business zone. So I think that that's the obvious next step of what we need to accomplish, because that's been on our agenda to accomplish for a while, and we were really needing some,
the maps to do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
some better information to
Yeah.
do it.
And not the old fashioned way of doing the
Yeah.
mailings.
Right.
Cause we would have missed someone.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic, and it's so great that he's already done it, that it would be nice to facilitate more with him and show that we're enthusiastic about the work he's already done.
Yeah,
I think it's very important, because for him to do that was amazing.
yeah, he's great to work with. He really is.
So wonderful.
Yeah.
Are there, beyond that, are there other future proposals that you would suggest us to investigate with Mark?
It does,
Another layer for, I don't know this, but. you
Yeah,
guys
inland
speak the
wetlands, yeah,
language,
there are
but-
other layers that we could keep adding to it for sure.
But under planning and zoning, are we pretty covered, do you guys feel, which done the lion's share?
it would be dependent upon if future
If the-
zones get added, overlay zones and or expansion of other zones. The only thing that I can think of that's on the radar that kind of ties in with 6C is in the event that the historic study committee
Mhm.
becomes a historic district, that then an overlay is created, because zoning is sort of the owner of the zoning map, even though it's a historic district thing. I do see that as falling on a zoning thing,
It
even
does
like
fall.
the the IHZ. It's a zoning thing, whether or not it was enacted by this commission, for us to accurately depict it in our map would fall on us. That, and I don't mind even when I talk to Marwin about the expansion of the village business, if I mention to him, hey, there may be an HDC coming soon with X number of properties, there's 79 properties, like overlay Western.
I would
That would be
suggest
great.
getting that at the same time,
Great.
just so it's not henpecking it to death.
Great.
And again, it shows our enthusiasm for the work he's already done to say, hey, we're committed to you doing this for us.
Great. I think he's contracted to maintain the GIS
Yeah,
with the
for,
town.
yes.
Cool. Which
So-
is
For
great.
Gala.
Great.
So
Awesome.
our overlay for the new village business zone, does that provide name and address? So we could like just mail it out to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
So-
literally you just highlight the zone or highlight the properties, and it generates a mailing list from.
So can't we do like a all commission kind of thing, or all town put some of their own money, their own funds into the whole thing, and we can get the whole shebang?
Well, I think we're close to the whole shebang,
Yeah.
except for maybe inland wetlands.
The map, but that's all mapped. That's deep maps. Those are.
I'm just
Those are
saying, though,
there.
I think that, well, maybe I'm just kind of make sure I understand, but is that you're kind of talking about? Get everybody who has an interest in this to get it done now.
Yeah.
Wetlands
Which
are
We
I-
got a
mapped.
lot of it
They're
covered.
mapped on.
Oh, okay, all
Under
right.
zoning.
Yeah.
It fell under zoning.
We got a lot of it accomplished,
Okay.
and a lot of it falls under us
Okay,
ultimately.
all right.
What are you thinking for their budget? To get to their
Get
budget?
some of their.
Yes, yes.
So we're not spending.
Other people are spending that money.
Yeah.
And if we went to
I mean,
the
granted,
board of
they-
finance. I wouldn't-
I don't.
Well, I think that we ought to build these other volunteer boards and commissions.
Cause once everybody goes on there, they're gonna say, hey, again, you just punch everything in there and it's there.
It's fantastic.
Does the Wetlands Commission know? I mean, granted, it's a little skewed and I'll have to talk with Marwin about it, but are they aware?
No,
Okay,
they're not aware it's on there yet.
okay,
At least I assume.
All right, we're moving on because the
Yeah.
time is going.
great.
Okay.
Item B, housing priorities.
So just to get the conversation started, and this is not meant to be lengthy, just in the interest of time. I created a very simple memorandum, just giving us background about what is currently in the P O C D that the P and Z is tasked with as far as action steps go, and then what is in the regulations now, so the existing conditions of the current regulations, and kind of where we want to go, which is the missing step that I'm unclear about. So before I put the pen to paper, I did want to get a sense from this commission, and if you want to take this home and bring homework to your brain over the holiday season and come back and have a much more constructive conversation in January. I'm happy with that, but I really wanted to lay out what are the top priorities from the P and Z based on the POCD implementation, what our current regulations say, and then to get everyone thinking on what is missing and how do we further implement the plan. And I'm happy to send everyone home with this and get you thinking. There are a few things around accessory dwelling units that I would love to propose to make them a little bit more readily available for anyone that's looking to establish one. But otherwise, I really wanted to hear from this commission about how we can achieve 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the front page, which is in the POCD. Okay.
You know, here's one more copy there.
Who's on mine if I didn't write on it? Yeah, I didn't write on it. It's somewhere.
You're lucky.
You know what? I'm gonna make a copy for you. Great. I can make it. I'm right here.
She just wanted to strike the rates.
So is everyone comfortable if you kind of take this home, marinate on it, and then we have a more constructive conversation in the new year?
Can I ask one question that at least I had
Of
from
course.
reading ahead? Is this D of the accessory apartments, no accessory apartment shall be established as part of a two-family dwelling or any multi-family use. I think that that's something we should look at, because if we're really trying to promote an accessory apartment, it might fall under a two-family dwelling, that language is something that I really think is important for us to look at, because I don't know, that was the one thing that popped in when I read all this that I think we should really look at, but again, we can look at this all in January.
Yeah, I had a bunch of questions, comments, like
Yeah.
it felt like G and J kind of conflict with each other. One says apartment shall be accessible from the main dwelling, and then the other one talks about a detached
Exactly.
accessory,
So
right?
I think we just need to tighten some of that stuff up, because I think accessory apartments is something that can be really important for
Mhm.
our town and really help with people staying in their homes and depending on how you break it up, it could turn into a two-family home, even though it's an accessory apartment, or even if it's not accessible from the primary building. And so yeah.
I definitely, those raised a little bit of a red flag. Some things will be left to like the management of if it's a multifamily housing, if they choose to allow for. And like why further restrict housing, especially if the priority is to create more housing.
Right.
Really leave it up to that independent property owner rather than create further restrictions that may not need to exist. And then some of the sizing, I understand that the point of having accessory is that it's not having 2 units on a single lot. But some of like why, if you have an attached garage with living spaces greater than 1,000 feet, why can't you use that?
Exactly.
There's sort of practicalities there. And then, for example, if you have a barn that you want to preserve and you can make into housing on your property as accessory and detached, why are we going to limit and say you can only use half of your barn, for example? So I think thinking through some more adaptive reuse. And I know at the time that accessory apartments, this was written into the regulations, it was sort of like that burgeoning moment of accessory apartments in the state. A lot more has been done around accessory apartments. There are some towns that actually allow up to 2. So if they go for a special exception, they can actually have an internal. So if you have a garage, your in-law apartment there, and if you have a barn, for example, you can have a detached apartment. So that's really like up to the town. I do see a lot of towns struggle with enabling more accessory apartments. They're just essentially creating fancy guest houses and not really helping with the housing supply. So how to work with that in our regulations is really tricky. But just, I have seen it where accessory dwelling units are enabled, it not actually contributing to your housing stock of long-term residents. So just thinking that through.
Can I ask a question? Accessory housing to me is multi-generational or family kind of run. Can it also be a rental?
Of course.
Yes,
Right.
that's the
Yeah.
idea,
So
yes.
it's both, right?
Yes,
That's
it's
limiting
both.
one or the other.
The
Exactly.
idea is an in-law unit that you could rent out after the
Okay.
in-law
That
changed
was
or
the
after.
question.
If you're developing this space, we would like it to be utilized, so.
Well, that's why planners have moved away from language such as in-law apartment,
exactly.
because fair housing laws
Just trying.
require that like we shouldn't mandate as zoning board, like who's living in this unit. It could be your mom, doesn't have to be.
Right, but in that case, it's not about the money passing hands or anything, it's just about making sure people have a house to live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Safe, quality housing to live.
Yeah.
And if it turns out that's family member for a length of time, and then when that situation changes, whether you sell the house and the new owner wants to do it, or you decide that the person's not out anymore, you can have a, young person move in and. Okay.
Right, that's the idea.
Or a senior, or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, and a great way to help support the community with the houses we already have. If someone could build a small apartment, they could stay in their house longer. It doesn't change the house. It helps with even development within our community as well.
What I always struggle with, and what I would love to see more from, and this might be a letter to a legislature, but some sort of incentive for the property owners that choose to have accessory dwelling units and do rent to a long-term tenant to enable more housing in the community. I like look at that as sort of an offshoot of, for lack of a better term, workforce housing or some other type of housing.
Very much
And
so.
if there could be sort of a local way to work within the tax system that we have to incentivize property owners, whether it's for the initial investment of the creation of the efficiency unit, which is often quite costly, and or for some sort of long-time tax incentive.
Are there any state or local incentives in other communities or other states that we can model after?
I have not come across any, and it might be a moment to write to our legislature.
Well, you could do it in the town of Falls Village. It can be go through the board of selectmen to bring to town meeting. They can enact a version of that. to
I'm
this
just
town.
curious what some examples of those
Yeah.
kinds of incentives might be.
Yeah.
Because.
But I don't know within our current tax law parameters that locally that's even enabled.
Well, I'm just kind of thinking like we did a business tax abatement for an expense of blah, blah, blah.
That's
I'm
been
not saying it's,
questioned by other towns that have looked at it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just
I was
curious.
just thinking, sometimes we're thinking about it the first time, there's probably somebody else has thought about
Yeah,
this.
for
and
sure.
maybe the
Yeah.
community has some of
Yeah.
those in place that we
no,
can model
no,
after.
yeah, totally, but if not,
Understand.
and it
Right,
is,
yeah,
you
of
know,
course.
obviously we
why
don't
we
want to
need
create an illegal situation.
I will do that research. I feel like if it was created, we would have known about it, especially around house,
You might.
around housing. It's like we see all these complicated house bills, but how come not the more simple?
Well, and really what you're proposing, I like the concept of because it's less money than the current options we have. You know what I mean? It's if there's a tax incentive, right? I feel as though it's a cheaper alternative for the same outcome with
It-
less, but
It fits in the development of the town, thinking scattered site, thinking within the current zoning, massing, et cetera.
Would a property owner, if they took their old barn, developed it, rented it for whatever, had their in-laws stay there for a while, and then all of a sudden it's a rental, would there be a change in their tax? Income tax and property tax? Because maybe they've upgraded the facility, so those
That would
upgrades.
be.
So that would be, yeah,
That would be part
so,
of it.
So,
Yeah.
if there was hey, it's a full-time rental, maybe we reduce that a little bit, it's kind of one of the things that,
that's,
yeah, it seems
yeah,
like you could make it,
a little sweetener.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
Or
the
if you can-
incentive, you mean,
Yeah.
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 And then
put an affordability clause on that
Exactly.
rental and then get a tax break because you have deed
Mm.
restricted
Yeah,
affordability on
town
that
needs every
rental.
tax dollar it can,
Yeah,
but
However-
if there's also needs residences and residents and maybe kids
Yeah.
going to the school and those other things that come with people.
yeah,
staying.
I love that concept. That's
Yeah.
kind of what it.
Great.
All right, moving on. Historic Study Committee update. You wanna fill everyone in on that? I could do the email.
Yeah, so nothing big to report. I was not available to attend their meeting that I believe was, I'm losing track of dates, yesterday. But I did receive very constructive feedback about this report that's been developed since 2023. And I believe they're gearing up to get it finalized so that they can then refer the report to the commission, which is a requirement prior to them going out to vote to see if the district becomes enacted. So I would say stay tuned. I do think the target is January. I am making myself available to be meeting with them so that I can further update the report so that it can soon hopefully get in your hands. And then I'll also work to see if mapping that overlay can be covered and how much that would cost. But just have been helping them facilitating their attempts to establish a district
Awesome.
within reason.
Any questions for Janelle on that? Moving along, CEO report number 7.
So relatively brief for this month. If anyone has any questions, by all means, please let me know. I do periodically get requests for zoning letters of compliance. These are common. Banks ask for them quite a lot when it comes to financing. I will not write a blanket letter that says this property XYZ complies with the zoning regulations if I am not allowed to go on that property with the property owner and review the property before writing that letter. A lot of towns have gotten in the practice of just writing a blanket letter, and I look at that as being a major liability.
Please don't do that.
I will not be doing that. It's not, it has never been advised by one of my legal mentors, so I've had to tell people, unless the property owner is going to be out there with me and I can inspect the property, I will not be doing that. So otherwise, a lot of inquiries, it's pretty typical. Just received one about a zoning permit that's expired that I'll soon reinvigorate. But otherwise, that concludes my report unless you have questions.
Where's 133 Railroad? That's a building.
It's your house, Tim.
No, that's why I'm thinking about it, you're right, I know that there was Garrett's house, and then it's the
Town garage.
town garage, and across the street is the Hamilton Books Factory, that's it, so maybe it's one of those two, but I gotta think that might be the Hamilton factory, but I'm not sure.
I'm on GIS right now looking at it. Yeah.
Let's test it out.
How long is
Yeah,
it gonna
or-
take us to think about
But
doing
you
that?
know, it's not the first time that I've gotten inquiries about things that don't exist. It doesn't look like GIS wants to find this property.
Yes,
It's a new Canaan.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
That's happened
Well, I know.
before.
anyway, when I looked at the listing on the house that I bought, it had a picture of North Canaan. It's like Canaan, North Canaan. or
Yeah. That
LM.
does happen a lot.
In proper listing, MLS has it all.
Yeah, good
I think you're
point.
right.
Yeah, it might not even be
Yeah,
no property.
no,
It's the books out.
Oh,
That's my guess, right?
because it's the town garage. Oh,
oh,
crap.
yeah.
That's the 15 minor. Also, meeting with Dave Nelson.
I'm fine with that. I just haven't done it yet, but I don't.
Just a duplex. They're doing renovations and they may be doing a modification before the commission.
Those two properties that they touch, those two houses that they, that's one on the corner. And the 15 minor is set back a little bit,
Yeah.
they don't touch.
Yeah.
The property,
Yeah,
it's all on property.
it's not that big long.
Yeah.
They're not gonna change the windows to now.
Yeah,
Or the blue house and the White
In the
House.
yeah, yeah,
All the way to the post office.
yeah. It's confusing up there.
There's a lot going on over there. Anything further? Public comment, I just looked, no official correspondence, is there anybody on Zoom? One's on Zoom. Motion to adjourn at 8:40.
So moved.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Happy holidays all, thanks Kim and Vince.
Thank you, guys.
Seven.